Sky is really beautiful right now. I wanted to get on here and I wanted to share my beliefs because I think it's important that people know, I guess, what I believe in, a little bit about my journey. I guess my faith background is I grew up in not traditional Christianity, but I grew up in a church called Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, aka Unification Church, aka Moonies, and yeah, pretty infamous actually in Christianity. And I've had a lot of experience with traditional Christians persecuting me for this faith, the one I just grew up in. And yeah, it's very interesting. So I'd say my worldview is drastically, I've had my spin around like with a bunch of different worldviews, with Christianity, with Islam, with the faith that I was brought up in. So around a year ago, I came back from 2 years of a gap year program from this church, and it was called Generation Peace Academy. And yeah, I had a good experience on that program, but basically what that program is it tries to basically teach you the most ideal, the highest form of life of faith possible. So trying to live up to the ideals of Jesus, trying to live up to the highest ideals of like perfect man and woman. So I had a lot of good experiences on there where that even feel like miracles or just insane circumstances that you wouldn't believe is anything except God. However, when you come back from a program that is in like a huge bubble, just surrounded by everybody like having these ideals, everybody pushing for further, like to achieve greatness, and then when you step out of that bubble into real life, it's a whole different world. And yeah, when you see people, especially around you, not live up to those ideals that you were trying to practice in that bubble, and then there's some sort of like contradiction, and it's about the environment, being sucked into an environment that is less like God breathed, where like there's less people like talking about God or trying to experience God's love or trying to level up their faith. So it's about environment change. And then after this program, it's been a little bit over a year since I've been off this program. And actually, I had different like what people may call faith crises on that program, as well as really trying to find God, really trying to find the truth, because that was just very important to me. It's very important for me to not just figure out what's like right and wrong, but to figure out like the meaning of everything, the purpose of everything. Because for me, if it doesn't have a deep meaning, or if it doesn't have a purpose behind it, it's very hard for me to do something. If there isn't like a big purpose behind an action, then I can't really do it. That's kind of just like the type of person I am. So just with this life, I'm like, I really want to figure out if God exists, if like what these people in this church are saying, or what they're saying in this church is true, what Christianity's saying is true. And I like, for me, like there's a lot of there's in my church that I grew up in Christianity, there's a lot of labels, there's a lot of titles like Messiah, Lord, and like Lord, second coming, first coming, and for me, I actually really do not like those labels, because I think there's a lot of like, I guess, stigmas, or there's a lot of things attached to that different people have, extremely like different perspectives about. It's like Messiah and like and second coming, they can all mean like something extremely different, like from person to person. So for me, how I try to find truth, or what I try to see is real, is I really try to practice it. It's empiricism, trying to find like what's true through practicing, through action, through experience. And for me, that's very important, and that's kind of how I judge to see if things are true or not right now. And so I actually did step back from that faith that I grew up in for a while, just kind of not very interested in the way they're doing things, because I grew up in it, and I really wanted to have a perspective on life, a perspective on faith, a perspective on God in a less biased way. Because it was like, I grew up in this church, I grew up in this faith. It's like I'm, I think it's people like these Christians talk about, it's like, yeah, because you were born in a certain area, this is why you grew up in this way. This is why you believe the things you believe. So, and similarly, like, obviously I grew up in this church. I went to church every Sunday. I went to all the community events, social gatherings, stuff like that. So obviously I have some bias towards things. So obviously you can't like eliminate that bias since you grew up in that, but I tried my best to find the truth, find God without the church, actually. Without that church I grew up in, and trying to find it in just any way I could. Just one way is just like looking at this beautiful creation all around me. And yeah, so in this way I just try to find God and the truth myself. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But anyways, so what I believe in right now, I believe in God, and I've actually made the decision to commit to God and live in a life with God and for God. And I've actually come back to the church because I have a new perspective, and I dabbled in like Christianity, even Islam as well. And yeah, I guess for me, like, okay, this is something I was just thinking about. Like, for example, Christianity. The goal of Christianity is to save people, right? That's like the goal of Christianity is to basically make everybody in the world Christian and save them. And if you see the world right now, if you see the conflict in the past and the conflict right now, like, there are people dying. There are people dying all across the world. And for me, if I think about God and God's perspective, I think, okay, would you rather have a son or a daughter who like is not believing in Jesus but is alive and lives a full life, or like, I don't know if there's a second choice actually, but my point is that I think, like, to convert people to Jesus, what Jesus did is to like love people, love them unconditionally as God would, And for me, when I see Christians trying to share their their beliefs and their values, it doesn't, in my experience, and also what I've seen on like just people's perspective, is like they don't always share it with the most authentic love or unconditional love. And so I guess, like, I think about people, like, if someone were to live a full life, and for example, someone who's Islamic, if you wanted to convert this person who's extremely stubborn about their faith and will, no matter what, like I don't know, even be open to the idea of converting to Christianity, it's like I'd rather have this person, like, I'd want to create world peace so this person doesn't die, so they actually have a chance and opportunity for redemption, to go to God or to go to Jesus. So I'd say the purpose of my like church is to create world peace. That's the whole purpose of it. And there's a lot of crap online that says otherwise, or says like these like malicious intent of this church if you search it up. But please just like ask somebody or have a conversation with somebody about the actual values or beliefs, because there's misinformation everywhere. I'm sure there's a lot of misinformation about Christianity, about all the denominations. Everybody thinks all these different things, right? It's like there's so much almost like miscommunication that like people can have, where people may assume the worst of others, and then nothing, and they're out of conflict because two people are stubborn and they're just going into a conversation to be right, not to be open to someone else's idea. So that's actually something I believe in, is to be open to receiving, I guess, to be open to learning from somebody's beliefs. And I'm all about like true love. I'm all about world peace. And I'd say the people in this movement, which, Reverend Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, we call them the true parents. And I guess that's a very deep, it's a label, and it has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people, but I'd say it just means to, they are basically examples of people who follow God completely, completely obedient to God, and sharing God's love through living for the sake of others, through substance, practicing God's love. And true parents means to, to say I'm true parent's child is to say I'm also following God. I'm trying to follow God as best as I can through these role models. That's what it means to me. And there's probably a lot of different things online. There's probably to different Moonies you'll ask, they'll probably have different answers. But so there's definitely a lot more to talk about. This is not so deep into my actual beliefs, but it's kind of just a summary of what I believe in, and there's a lot more to talk about. But I'm heavily into looking at God's perspective on everything, especially to love other people. And when I feel judgment from Christians, for me, it doesn't feel like they're seen from God's perspective. To see somebody else as God's son, as God's child, as somebody's precious, son or daughter, it's you would try your best just to listen to them, to love them, and to basically almost prove your belief through your practice, through loving them. And for me, that's how you influence people and actually change people's minds and change people's lives. So this is a little bit of what I believe in. Thank you so much for watching. I'm in beautiful God's creation right now. Thank you so much for listening, and have a nice day. Bye.